Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Before I start, I want to thank the people for inviting me. Because when we don't thank the people, we don't thank Allah. Basically, I want to start with explaining my journey to Islam. I go by the name of Amir Junaid Muhaddith, formerly known as Loon, from Bad Boy Records. And my journey to Islam started way before the music business. Way before the music business. And I was born and raised in New York City in Harlem, a place that was infested by drugs, crime, and violence. And growing up in this harsh reality, basically, every day, we have to find a means to survive, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Growing up in this environment, I was exposed to so many things. So many things that place you in a state of mind where you feel that this is the place you'll be born, this is the place you'll be raised, and this will be the place you'll die. And growing up in this environment, a lot of brothers in this environment, we conduct ourselves a certain way in order to survive. One way is, I like to say, the brothers can relate, we walk around with the poker face. Basically, we try to walk around with this expression on our face like we're always angry, we're always mad, we're tough, macho, you name it. And we conduct ourselves this way to conceal the true nature of joy that we might possess inside our hearts. Because in this environment, this is considered a sign of weakness. This is considered a sign of, lack of masculinity. When you're running around just giggling, laughing, just, giddy all the time. It strikes the wrong impression on those other brothers in the neighborhood we like to call the wolves. So it wouldn't be healthy to conduct yourself like sheep when you're amongst wolves. So basically what I used to do, I wasn't, the greatest student, in school. I failed math, but I knew how to count money. But basically what I used to do in order to deal with the day-to-day hustle and bustle of living in Harlem was writing kind of like a diary. I discovered at some point in my life that I was able to express myself through writing. Never was really inspired by rappers or nothing at the time. More so influenced by the people in my community. People that epitomize the negative activities in my community. These were the role models. These were the people that we looked up to. And my environment, rap didn't have the influence that it has on so many youth around the world today. Even actors in the films didn't have as much influence as the individuals in my community who conducted themselves on a day-to-day basis, involved in drugs, selling drugs, robbing, stealing, killing. Sad to say, these were the primary, influences in my community. So basically, growing up, when I discovered the ability to write, I used this ability to kind of suffice some of the frustration and some of the negative, vibes that I had every day living in this environment. And writing gave me a means to escape these things. So I would write about certain things that might have plagued my day. When I would write it and express it, I would be able to go back outside and conduct myself with a certain sense of strength. Then gradually, this method wasn't so, so to say, it wasn't so successful. So I started to move on to using my imagination. Using my imagination now, along with my ability to write, using it to escape this harsh reality that I lived in on a day-to-day. Then the third step came with writing songs. So basically one day, I remember standing on my block, doing things that I cared not to repeat. But I was actually in the neighborhood at the time with a brother that, I was very tight with. We grew up together. We did a lot of things, I was to be loud. We did a lot of things together that, we did for the means of surviving in this environment. And I remember someone came through the neighborhood selling a car. God knows best where the car came from, I was intrigued by this car, and I wanted to purchase this car. So I remember sitting there negotiating the price with the guy, and my partner came out and said, yo, what are you doing? I said, yo, man, I'm getting that car. You don't need that car. Don't you know, we're doing better things. You don't need to be in that car. It's like, nah, chill, I'm just gonna test drive it. I'm gonna go around the block, see how I feel, and then, I might buy this joint. It's like, yo, man, don't get in that car. So, me being hard-headed, of course, I got in the car. But wallahi, I didn't even make it to the corner. I got to the end of the block and the police pulled me over. And I was arrested for driving a borrowed car. So basically, the brother that I left standing on the stoop was the same brother that came to bail me out. So seeing him when I was released, I already had my ears prepared. I know he's gonna beat me down, tell me about I told you so. So I was already prepared. Okay, cool, I'm gonna let him handle me. I deserved it, I didn't listen. But instead of discouraging me in that manner, he basically started reciting things to me that sounded very familiar. And I was listening to him like, what is he talking about? That sounds like something I heard before. And as he continued to recite things, I started to realize that he was reciting some of my poetry. And at that moment, that's when I realized I left my book on the stoop before I jumped on that car and drove around, made it to the corner. He had obtained my book. So he was reading my stuff to me, and this was like my personal stuff. I never really shared it with nobody. This was what I used as a means of, a therapeutic method of getting by on the day-to-day. When the brother started reading stuff to me, I was kind of embarrassed, because I was like, man, this is stuff he know about me, he ain't supposed to know about me. We got our own little understanding of each other. This is a little too much for him. But instead of discouraging me, he encouraged me. He told me, yo, you should actually pursue this. This is good. I didn't know you felt like that. I didn't know you had the ability to write like that. So I'm looking at him like, I could dig it. Can I get my book? So he gave me my book back, and I pondered. I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe I should take this serious. And I did. I started to pursue writing, and actually, I made it big in the business. So basically, being in the music business, what a lot of people don't understand is, and I speak for a lot of people that come out of this environment, we all find some means, some talent that we possess, and we use it as a means to propel ourselves out of the environments that we grow up in, whether it's sports, writing, whatever the case is. And we all start off with primary intentions of doing something that's good for the sake of our families, for the sake of lightening the burden of those who might have single parents. Me, I was raised by my grandmother. She was a beautician. She just actually retired in December, last year at age 80, still working. She stood on her feet and did hair for hours and took care of generations of us. So my means of doing music was initially to lighten the burden on my grandmother who sacrificed so much for me. And this is common with a lot of people that come out of this environment. We try to utilize our talent as a means to lighten the load on the family and to do things that we're not able to obtain by using other negative methods. So basically, this was my primary intention. And when I entered the music business and obtained the level of success that I did, I never imagined that I would go astray from that goal. I never imagined that the lifestyle that came with the success of the music business would tear me away from my primary objective, which was to lighten the burden for my family. I wanted to make things easy for my grandma. I wanted to make things easy for my mom. I wanted to help my sisters get through school. I wanted to do a lot of good things that I was able to do to an extent. But when I started to indulge in the lifestyle that came with the success, a lot of things changed very, very fast. And what I've learned today that a lot of youth around the world are so inspired by this.